Hello everyone, thanks for checking out the channel. If you like this video, please remember to like, and if you subscribe, be sure to comment below. I reply to every comment. The city was in chaos. The bombing run had left a trail of destruction in its wake, decimating entire blocks and sending plumes of smoke billowing into the sky. The survivors had retreated to their refuge, shaken by the catastrophic events they had witnessed. The military's intervention had halted the advance of the undead, but it had come at a staggering cost. As we gathered in the apartment, the mood was somber. The windows were shattered, and the cold wind seeped into the room, a harsh reminder of the world outside. Mark's gaze was fixed on the horizon, where the remnants of the bombing run still smoldered. "We can't stay here," he said, his voice filled with determination. "The city is in ruins, and the military won't be able to secure it completely. We need to find a safer place, somewhere we can regroup and rebuild." Jack nodded in agreement, his expression reflecting the weight of the decision. "We can't rely on the military to save us," he added. "We need to take our fate into our own hands." The survivors knew that their journey was far from over. The city had become a battleground, and the undead still roamed its streets. With newfound resolve, we set out on a perilous journey to find a sanctuary, a place where we could rebuild our lives in the midst of the apocalypse. The streets were littered with debris. The aftermath of the bombing run a stark testament to the desperation of humanity's last stand. The city's once thriving neighborhoods were now desolate, and the survivors moved cautiously through the ruins, their senses alert for any sign of danger. As we ventured deeper into the city, the presence of the undead remained a constant threat. The survivors moved silently, their weapons at the ready, as they navigated through the decaying landscape. Every alleyway turned, every building entered, was a potential danger. A reminder that the undead could emerge from the shadows at any moment. Hours turned into days as we pressed forward, determined to find a place of refuge. Our group had become a tightly knit unit, each member watching the other's back as we faced the unknown together. The bonds that had formed through hardship were unbreakable, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. Finally, we reached a fortified compound on the outskirts of the city. It was a former military installation, its walls still standing strong amidst the chaos. The survivors cautiously approached, their weapons at the ready, but the compound appeared to be deserted. With a sense of hope, we entered the compound and began the process of securing it as our new refuge. The military had left behind supplies and equipment, a valuable resource that would aid in our survival. The survivors worked tirelessly, fortifying the walls and creating a safe haven in the midst of the apocalypse. As the days turned into weeks, a semblance of normalcy began to return to our lives. The compound became our home, a place where we could find safety and respite from the relentless nightmare outside. But the survivors knew that they could never truly let their guard down. The world had changed, and the battle for survival would continue. One evening, as the survivors gathered around a flickering fire, Mark stood before them, his voice filled with conviction. "We've come a long way," he said, his gaze sweeping over the faces of the group. "But our journey is far from over. We must remain vigilant, for the undead still roam the city, and the world beyond is a harsh and unforgiving place." With a shared sense of purpose, the survivors nodded in agreement. The compound was their sanctuary, a place where they could rebuild their lives and prepare for the challenges that lay ahead. The world had descended into darkness, but amidst the ruins, a flicker of hope remained. The unwavering spirit of humanity, determined to endure, to survive, and to reclaim a future from the ashes of the past. Life within the fortified compound had become a semblance of stability in the chaos that engulfed the outside world. The survivors had established routines, assigned duties, and even managed to create a sense of community amidst the apocalyptic landscape. But as the days turned into weeks, a new and ominous threat began to emerge. The undead were evolving. It began with sightings of running variants. These undead were no longer the slow, shuffling horrors that had haunted the city's streets. They moved with surprising speed, their jerky and unnatural gait making them even more terrifying. The survivors encountered them during scavenging runs, their relentless pursuit testing the limits of their endurance. The running variants were a grim reminder that the undead were not a static threat. They were adapting, becoming more dangerous with each passing day. The survivors were forced to rethink their strategies, learning to move more cautiously and silently to avoid detection. But the greatest shock came when reports emerged of smart variants. These undead displayed a level of cunning and intelligence that defied explanation. They set traps, coordinated attacks, and even used rudimentary tools. It was as if some twisted form of intelligence had awakened within them, making them an even more formidable foe. The first encounter with the smart variants was a harrowing experience. During a routine patrol outside the compound, the survivors stumbled upon a group of these creatures. They had set a trap, luring the survivors into an ambush. It was a brutal battle, the survivors barely escaping with their lives. The realization that the undead were evolving into more cunning and agile adversaries sent shockwaves through the compound. Fear and uncertainty hung in the air as the survivors grappled with the new reality. The rules of engagement had changed, and the battle for survival had become even more treacherous. Mark called a meeting of the group, his expression grim. "We can't underestimate these new variants," he warned. "We need to adapt, to stay one step ahead of them. Our survival depends on it." The survivors began to train and prepare for encounters with the evolved undead. They honed their combat skills, developed new tactics, and fortified their defenses. Every decision was made with the understanding that the world outside was a deadly, evolving landscape. As the days passed, the survivors encountered more of the running and smart variants. Each encounter was a deadly test of their wits and determination, a reminder that the undead were a relentless and ever-evolving threat. But amidst the danger and uncertainty, the survivors held on to one truth. They were a resilient and unyielding force. The compound remained their sanctuary, a place where they could regroup and prepare for the challenges that lay ahead. The world had become a terrifying and unpredictable place, but the survivors were determined to face it head-on, to adapt and to endure.